All right. Power ranking the 2026 NFL Power Rankings. All right. I realize we haven't even gotten into free agency. We haven't even gotten into the draft, but it's your opportunity to just randomly say where you think teams are going to be. We usually give you an opportunity to choose your own path, choose your own adventure. Would you like ESPN or Fox? Those are your choices today.
Ooh. Do I want the worldwide leader or an animal? Give me Espen.
All right. Who do you think, when the 2026 season begins, will be the worst team in all of football? And also, Frankel and Frankel injury attorney text line 877-881-1053. Want you to go ahead and text in your answers, or you can hit us up on the Twitch, on the YouTube. Also, let us know how the heck you're doing today. I'm sorry that I didn't get to ask you guys that.
No, it's okay. You just hate how we feel. I would always default to the Raiders being the worst, but if we're going into the 2026 season, I'm assuming I'm making the bold proclamation that they're going to have Fernando Mendoza as their quarterback, and things are going to just look a tiny bit different, so there's at least some hope. The New York Jets have nothing to be excited about next year. Nothing. So I would put them at 32.
All right. If I tell you that per ESPN, the Jets are only 31st in the power rankings. Jacob, now's your opportunity.
Oh, man.
Who is the worst team in all of football when the season begins?
See, and I was going to go with a sleeper here with like the Arizona Cardinals, but
Arizona Cardinals are 28.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Raiders.
So much hate for Fernando Mendoza. It is misplaced. The Raiders are number 30. Now, Alec, you almost had it, because there's two teams you can always default to when you think of a dumpster fire organization. The Jets were one, but the other one is, of course, the Cleveland Browns.
Fair.
Come in at 32nd on the ESPN Power Rankings for 2026. The bottom five go like this: the Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, Las Vegas Raiders, Miami Dolphins, and then, of course, the Cardinals. Where would you put those Dallas Cowboys? Now, put aside the fact that if they followed my plan for success, clearly they'd be in the top 10. Where do you think the Dallas Cowboys will be in the power rankings after free agency, after the draft, when the season begins?
You know, we have a line of thinking when it comes to this team that they're somewhere right around the middle. But I think defensively, they are far from right around the middle. They're far from around the middle in a positive way offensively. So I'm trying to balance those things out, and I still think that the recency of how bad some of those games looked is going to put them below the middle of the pack. Give me number 19.
Ooh, you shot a little bit too high. 18. So still close enough to the middle, where ESPN has them at 18. The offseason in 3 words. You probably could have guessed this. Fix the defense, as you just made reference to.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and as I'm kind of glad that we're doing these draft profiles daily at this point, because it's making me realize how inefficient we are at so many spots.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this would be awesome to add. He's not going to fix much, even though he's really, really good. We need like 4 of this guy.
Man, our fan text is already on fire this morning from the 817. Bette Midler volunteers to clean highways with a vengeance. That is a reference to a Simpsons episode where somebody throws a can out the window and she eventually like hurls it back at their truck and hits it and it flies off a cliff. But yeah, it's super entertaining. A lot of people did in fact know that the Cleveland Browns will be the worst from the 817. I'm doing wonderful. And the Raiders will be the worst team. But this is the realest of the real life alerts from the 720 Browns fan here. It's the Browns. All right. That makes sense. Now, we go to the top of the list. I realize who the defending Super Bowl champion is. That is not necessarily how it always carries over when the season starts. Who do you believe will be the number one team in all of football?
You know, I listened to a drunken John Snyder talk at the parade yesterday for those big game champions.
Right.
And say that he was already trying to negotiate with Kenneth Walker, who didn't seem too thrilled that he said that into a public microphone.
Right.
Anyways, I think that organization is too well run to fall much lower than they are now. I would still slot the Seahawks at preseason number one. I really would. I think there is a close second. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I think the Rams are in the conversation there.
Okay.
Have a super well-built roster, but I'd lean Seattle right now. I know they just got a football team, but I think...
Not true.
I don't know about that.
Corey's spirit really does live on right here.
I feel like if you just sit in the seat, you kind of inherit that. It's almost like the Green Goblin mask starts talking to you.
All right.
Instead, maybe this time it's a sandwich. But yeah, I would go Seattle.
All right. Jacob, what say you when the season starts? Give me your top one or top three, however you want to do it, NFL teams.
Yeah, I was going to go with the Rams. I think that they were the best team in football all year. I just think they ran into a tough game on the road at Seattle. They still almost won that game, but
it is Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I think
Said no one ever.
I think across the board the Rams are just a better team, and I'm going to go sleeper team if they get healthy. I think the 49ers are a team to look out for as well.
Okay, now check this out. So ESPN, which is what y'all picked, has Seattle at 1, the Patriots at 2, kind of lazy, the Rams at 3. But I want to take you over to Fox. I know you didn't pick Fox. They have the Denver Broncos at number 1. And from the 903, I think it's going to be Denver. That is fascinating. So I would assume that kind of leans into the idea that Bo Nix being injured is obviously what prevented them from making the Super Bowl and perhaps even winning the Super Bowl.
It has to be. And again, kind of talking about the parallels with Seattle, really, really good defense, an offense that is extremely consistent when all things are equal, with a quarterback who, if he doesn't mess up his job, then they're going to score enough points and limit the damage in between the end zones. It's pretty simple. Like, they don't have a fancy brand of football. They're not doing the crazy Vic Fangio stuff on defense. They're just really sound. They're just really talented. And I do think that, honestly, the playoff picture would have looked different if Bo Nix stayed healthy. After watching the Super Bowl and seeing the way that the Patriots offense just crumbled against an elite defense,
right,
I think I was wrong the whole playoff push about the Patriots offense, and I do think that the Broncos would have represented the AFC in the Super Bowl. So I do think they're still in a really good spot. And hey, bright side, if Bo Nix is going to have an injury like that, it's good that he had it then. I know that they wanted the playoff push and everything, but they know he's going to be healthy going into the season next year, and things are going to look a little bit different in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes going to miss the front end of the season. Things are going to be a lot more wide open in my mind. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, I know it sucked in the moment and it took you out of the playoff picture, but you guys are still in great shape.
Now, a couple more notes from the fan text from the 214. I'm doing great. I had a baby shower for the wife and the baby girl this past weekend, first day back to work, and the Falcons will be the worst. At least they're hoping that, I believe. That is from a Saints fan from the 903. I'm doing good, Kevin, but not great because my boss is a fan of that other sports talk show. I'm assuming they are a older white person then. And just take a look at it. Then this question is very fair. From the 214, guys, does it really matter what the Cowboys do as long as Jerry's in charge? We're in a 30-year Super Bowl drought. Do you honestly see that changing? So, might get crushed for this opinion. I think there's at least a little tiny glimmer of hope, and here's why. At the beginning of this past season, I thought there was no way in hell that they would trade away Micah Parsons, because that hasn't been their MO since Herschel Walker, that they traded away a marquee player. So I know it's probably fool's gold, but that's part of just being a fan. I'm hoping that he sees the error of his ways and knows that he can go all in for real on free agency at risk of the 2028 cap, because that's when people like Dak Prescott, you can kind of wiggle out of that contract contract, and you won't necessarily be crushed. So I understand that person's question. I understand all of your skepticism. We've talked about it numerous times. I believe the Dallas Cowboys were in in the first 30 NFL and NFC championship games. The Cowboys were in 15 of them. Since then, none. They were in 8 of the first 30 Super Bowls. Since then, none. So every bit of skepticism I understand out in the world. I am hopeful that what you saw with the Micah deal leads like just a little bit of a spark, because if I don't have that, well, then I have nothing. We're the K&C Masterpiece.